Lerato. My name is Tapi Mukono and I am from Modern Marketing. I do the online marketing and I'm also an online journalist there. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Tapi. Very lovely to meet you. I am Lerato Songelwa. I'm from H&K, which is Hill and Knowlton Strategies, and I am the Deputy Managing Director for the South African office.
Oh, all right. So would you just take us through your journey? Who's Lerato and how did you get into PR?
Sure. I guess if I had to start with who I am, so I am a go-getter. I love new challenges. I get bored with doing the same things. Relating it back to what I do, I really needed an environment that spoke to who I was as a person, an environment that matched my personality. It was also very important for me not to be boxed in, because sometimes you get a working environment where it is what it is, you can't change it. So for me, I really needed something where I can make my own mark as an individual. So naturally, that lended itself to PR because PR, no 2 days are the same, literally. But also, I enjoy the fact that there's a lot of human interaction where you get to build, new relationships, to build your network, to socialize, and that's what I'm all about. So that's how I ended up where I am.
Okay, where did you start? What did you study? And just take us through that beginner journey.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate that I studied PR. I studied PR, and PR is what I know, is what I love. I haven't done anything else but PR. So I think it helped me also just nurture the person that I am today, because since beginning, this is what I know, this is what I've done. So all of that experience obviously has come handy into what I do now.
All right. So when did you start working and where did you start working? So just take us through your career journey up to this point today.
Awesome. You're taking me back here.
Yes.
So I've got 13 years in PR. I've been doing this for 13 years, been a lot of blood, sweat, tears, self-reflection, celebratory moments, I've experienced it all. And essentially where I started, you might remember the fashion brand Sun Goddess.
Yes.
I started at Sun Goddess as a PR executive inside their marketing division, which is very different to what I do now. It had its challenges, but also it had its perks, which was really great. But I think a year in, I figured that, for me to grow in what I want to do, I need an environment that's going to nurture my strengths. And not taking away from, Sun Goddess and what they did, but, it just didn't give me that feeling of I am really harnessing my skills as a PR person. So then I had to rethink my approach, and that's when I started looking for agency jobs. And my first agency job was with an agency called ID Engineers, where I started as an account executive. And at the time, the biggest account I had to work in was Gold City, nice. Which also was very different from the work that I used to do at Sun Goddess.
Yeah.
And then, I was there for around, I think, 4 years.
Yeah.
Which also meant that I was able to work across different clients in different sectors and industries. I worked on the BlackBerry account, where I was part of the team that actually launched the youth campaign for BlackBerry, where the focus was really to shift the perception that BlackBerry is a business phone. We needed to make it cool among the youth. And so if you remember back in those days, that's where the BlackBerry Pearl came into play, the BBM, all of that stuff. So I was part of all of that. And then again, I suppose I needed something more.
Yeah.
So then I went to Atmosphere Communications.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for the Joburg office at Atmosphere. Spent quite some time at Atmosphere. My biggest client there was PepsiCo / Simba.
Oh, wow.
Also very fascinating, when
Yeah.
you're launching chips, new flavors of drinks, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I worked there for around, I think, a few years. I don't hop around a lot. I'm somebody who, when I find something that works for me, I just hold on to it.
All right.
Then I took a few months to a year of a break from Atmosphere, just purely to reflect, in terms of what is my next step as a person? Am I feeling fulfilled in what I'm doing?
Mm.
And while I was going through all of that process, an opportunity then arose where I had an opportunity to join H&K. And with H&K, it was really me coming in to help out on a specific project for a couple of weeks to a month, and then I was gone, right?
Mm.
And it was with P&G as a client.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks in, the client felt the difference. The client loved me. I had done so much within that 2 weeks that even the client wanted me to be based at their offices. So I then had internal conversations with the management at H&K, where they said to me, look, we're getting very good responses from the client and we want to keep you.
Mm.
You might remember I was in limbo. I was like, do I go back to the working space or don't I?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, but then I think for me, when I sat down and I reflected and I looked at the environment I had now walked into at H&K,
Mm.
I really felt like it matched who I was as a person at that time.
Mm.
I also felt like I saw opportunities for me to make my mark, to be heard,
Yeah.
and naturally I accepted the opportunity. And I've been with them for 4 years now, where I've gone, through the ranks. I started as an account manager, senior account manager,
Mm.
and then moved on to a practice lead for the consumer FMCG and lifestyle practice, which is essentially looking after a business unit, right, to where I am now as a as a deputy managing director.
Nice. That's quite a
Yeah,
long journey. I like how you pause and
really.
reflect and see where exactly do you want to go and then you pursue that. That is a really great character trait and it's great that you can do that. So
Thank you.
being part of the industry for as long as you've been, what do
Yeah.
you think what were your notable industry related changes that you've actually noticed over the period of time that you've been the part of the industry?
Sure. So when I started PR, we were very traditional, right? It was that whole idea of press releases, selling stories over the phone,
Mm.
events, launches, that sort of thing.
Mm.
But obviously, over the years, um, with the changes that come with just like, global changes, really, where now we're adapting to technology, where now we've got more access to the online space. That also presented an opportunity, I think, for the industry to then adapt and learn new skills. So back then, bloggers were our thing. Now we're talking influencers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back then, you wouldn't think of tapping into digital as a PR agency. And now, guess what? We are there. You know what I mean? We are there. So it just opened up this opportunity for us to really, look at where the world is going and how we are adapting to that change. But more than anything for me, because of the different roles that you can play in PR, it also means that you can specialize. Back in the day, you had to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
One person used to be the one that organizes events, sells stories, writes press releases, does the client relations. So it was all of that for one person. Whereas now because we've just have so much at our disposal, the opportunities are wider. Now you can actually choose, I want to specialize in content. I want to specialize in media relations. I want to specialize in digital.
Yeah.
So I think those have been the most notable changes, which are a great opportunity for our industry.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, so everything is just going digital. Hey. So,
Yeah.
being part of the industry this long, what would you say, in as much as you've seen the changes and how everything is changing, what would you say are the trends for 2020, even though, hey, it's just hey, 2020 and the pandemic, they just did their own thing. So, but what would you say are the industry related changes when it comes to looking at the period of 2020 and 2021? What are your industry relatable, like noted trends that you're seeing coming into play?
Awesome. So I think data continues to be a big thing in our industry, because everything that we do is formed by data, whether it is insights or whether it is how we measure our results and how we track those. So data continues to be something that's very important. And the opportunities there is really an understanding of how we interpret and analyze that data, to be able to then and come up with the best solutions of what we are trying to solve. I think also with technology evolving, it also means that as PR people, we need to evolve our skills. Like if you think now, there's all this discussion around the fourth industrial revolution. There is 5G, that's a big discussion point right now. There is artificial intelligence, which is huge, do you know what I mean? So we also do not want to be left behind. And because we work across different sectors and industries, it means that whatever affects those sectors and industries affects us essentially, because how are we able to then provide the best solutions for our clients if we don't know what's affecting them in their environments? So that's the second one. So then my last one would possibly be around just how the media landscape has shrunk. We're seeing a lot of publications shutting down. We're seeing a lot of journalists crossing over to our world, to
Yes.
PR, which is great,
Yeah.
because I think there's room. I think there's enough room for all of us to cement ourselves. It's great. But then now this also means, with everything and the shift that's happening in the media landscape, it means that we have to be creative in how we sell our stories, where we sell our stories, you know, and if that actually really relates back to the objectives of the business.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what have you enjoyed most working in this industry? What just brings you joy? Yes, it's blood, sweat, and tears some days, and no 2 days are the same. But what have you enjoyed most about working in the industry?
Happy, let me start by saying, I think even though we are in 2020, I feel like there's still a bit of misconception, somewhat misunderstanding of what PR really is, right?
Okay.
When you tell people you're in PR, they automatically think glam. They think it is glamorous. They think we spend our time, inviting journalists for boozy lunches.
Yes. That give
Not that all of
like
that is false.
nice things.
And we do events, and that it's all very fake and, I suppose, glamorous, like I said. And not that all of that is wrong. It's not wrong at all. We do all of that, but also we do the tough stuff along with that. The thinking stuff, the helping clients with articulating their purposes and why they are in existence. It's also around, sometimes we face with very difficult conversations where you have to help a client in a crisis situation. You know what I mean? I mean, we've been called spinners, and I don't know. For me, I still struggle with that word, because for me, when faced with a crisis situation, the one thing that a PR person will always tell you is stick to the facts. stick to what is truthful and what is factual.
Yeah.
So, and for me, when you call me a spinner, it means that you're saying to me that I sometimes do, maybe twist the truth a bit, which is not, the true reflection of what we do. So I guess what I'm saying is I enjoy getting into the deep discussions around not only what makes people love you as a brand, but also what's keeping you awake at night as a business. Mr. CEO, what's keeping you awake at night? Because I think also the way we are structured as H&K, we believe that we should be having those conversations with our clients, across all levels of the business, where we are understanding what is the problem from a business point of view, and how do we then help you address those? Because sometimes the solution is not really a press release or getting you an interview. There might be little shifts and changes that you might need to do inside your organization. And guess what? We are going to help you unpack all of that. So I really enjoy having those tough discussions, because I think for me it's very fulfilling at the end when you see that all that behind the scenes work that happens, and you just tap yourself on the shoulder and say, I did that, or when you see your client on a very difficult TV interview around the crisis, and you can see how your coaching has helped them now handle themselves in that situation. So yeah, those are the things that I like.
Okay, so what would you say is your favorite campaign or favorite brand awareness campaign that you just created that you really love? It could be an old one or most recent one, whichever one, that was your favorite, if you can list one, because a lot of people have more than one. So which one would you say is your favorite?
You're quite right. I can think of a lot, but I mean, my background is consumer and PR and brand. So obviously, I have a lot that I can think about. But I think one that comes to mind for me, also perhaps in relation to our conversation earlier around hair, in 2016, 2017, P&G as a client was launching the Head and Shoulders African Scalp Care range. It's a mouthful. And for me, it wasn't only about the product in itself and what the products can do, which was very great, because after a very long time since the launch of Dark and Lovely, we now had another product that's really there specifically to address Black people's hair issues. That was great on its own, right? But I think for me, what actually added an element of, for me, it was when I realized the conversations that were happening around our hair, the education that was happening around hair, you know what I mean? And the timing of it all, Tabi, you might remember around that time, the Pretoria High School girls were protesting, and they were fighting that, why are we told that our natural hair is untidy? What should we do with our hair? We don't want to relax our hair. We're quite happy with the way it is. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And for me, the timing of it all, and the conversations, like I said, they were very amazing, because also